I think we've had a wonderful meal, and we've had a blessed day. So much has been done today that should have been done years ago, but we're thankful for the day, and it has been done. But anyway, we're getting ready to have a short program. You have your programs in front of you. Today we're going to do the collection with the Equal Justice Initiative Peace and Justice Memorial Community Remembrance Project. That's a long term, isn't it? Yes, and I will give you some history on that in just a few minutes. And of course, today is November the 22nd. If you open your program, we start with prayer, but we had this gentleman, you prayed for us for our food, so we can go past that and move into the occasion. The occasion, why are we here today? Well, you're saying, I don't know. So, but we will find out shortly. It says most of human history is preserved underground, and we are digging it up today. Yes. And we've been digging it up for a long time. But when we dug it up, where did it go? Was it used? Was it hidden? What happened to it? We don't know, but we know what happened with this history that we're talking about today. So we are going to go forward and keep in mind that we have to keep digging. If we don't dig, we don't grow. That is our history to know. Also, this is one of my favorites. Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. Now, guess who said that? That's one of our black writers. Zora Neale Hurston. All right, and some of you probably know Eatonville and the surrounding area. Again, she says, research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. And we have a purpose. Our purpose is to know our history, our background, where we came from, what has happened to our family members over the many, many years. And then the third one I'm going to read to you is anyone who has the power to make this belief an absurdity. They have the power to commit an injustice. Do you believe that? You're going to make it an absurdity. It's not real. You're going to lie. And if you tell that lie long enough, you're going to have some people that believe you. And then you're going to have injustices that have happened throughout the world. And this came from Voltaire. But anyway, those are just three small things that I wanted to mention. And the occasion for today. We are here to honor a very special person. A very special person that did not have a chance to live a full life. Samuel Shepherd. Yes, he was born. And if you would open up your program, you can read along with me. He was born on November the 6th of 1951, and Umatilla that's where death took place. Sam Shepherd was one of the Groveland Four, a group of young black men wrongfully accused of raping a white woman in Lake County, Florida, in 1949. One of the four, what they call the Groveland Four, Ernest Thomas, was lynched before the trial. And we talked about that today. Despite ample evidence of innocence, Mr. Shepherd, Walter Irvin, and Charles Greenlee were convicted in a racially biased trial where all jurors were white and their lawyers. But we had the NAACP. Attorney Thurgood Marshall, and many of you had a chance today to meet his son, right? And get your picture made and know a little bit about Thurgood Marshall. Many of you know about him. He faced repeated threats of lynching when he was here and other places too. When Mr. Marshall and his staff were successful in winning a new trial for Mr. Irvin and Mr. Shepherd, notorious Lake County Sheriff Willis McCall volunteered to transport the two black men back to the county jail. And on their way, McCall shot both men near Umatilla, Florida, on November the 6th of 1951, killing 22-year-old Samuel Shepherd. Walter Irvin was severely injured, but he survived. And he later reported that McCall had ordered the men out of the car to change a tire. And then they shot both of them without provocation. That means he had no remorse. McCall claimed self-defense, faced no charges, and remained in office for several more years. This was the early story. But the story was changed today. We know the truth, finally. And family members knew the truth from the beginning, that it was a lie. But in any case, this is just a general overview. I want to give you some background information on the occasion. The occasion that we're here today is concerning the Equal Justice Initiative. At the Equal Justice Initiative, they have a monument. It's called the Monument at the Peace and Justice Memorial Center. It was opened in 2018, and several of us had an opportunity to go. You were there. Beverly was, and to see anyone else? I don't see anyone else that was there at that particular time. But we were invited to go. And at that time, they had Sam Shepherd's name up there, born deceased November the 6th, 1951 in Umatilla, Florida, along with 32 other people who were listed there at that particular time. And of course, they list Emmett Till, so I think we can relate to him. And we can also relate to the people over in Mims, Florida, Harriet and Harry T. Moore, because, you know, that was in 1951 when they bombed their home and killed both of them. So there were others that we could relate to that were there at that occasion. But that was not all. We had a wonderful time there meeting and working with people from many areas of the country. It was the third time I think I had been there, but it was a wonderful time. Now, you're asking me, what is Equal Justice Initiative? It is committed to ending mass incarceration and excessive punishment in the United States, to challenging racial and economic injustices, and to protecting basic human rights for the most vulnerable people in American society. Yes, they are working mainly in the United States, but they are spreading out. They've been to England, they've been to parts of Africa, and so eventually they're going to claim themselves global. But the focus right now is on the United States of America. And this is the man that founded the organization. I will show you his picture in just a second. Okay. Anybody know who he is? Stevenson. Yeah, we know it. You've seen the movie too, haven't you? Just Mercy? Absolutely, absolutely. He is the gentleman that founded the organization, yes. Not only did he found the organization, he has done so much to promote our lives and history to the general public. So many things about us we did not know, but as time has moved forward, we're going forward with it. And we're bringing our history out every day. The Equal Justice Initiative is committed to creating an era of truth and justice to help people in America discover who they are and discover their long-lost history of racial inequalities. Racial inequalities, yes. And we're also involved in education, educating the community, also with the Native Indians, whites, as well as blacks, poor people, those that need a hand up. And of course, another area that they're very involved in is dealing with slavery and remembering our people. The reason that we're here today is because of the soil collection. Soil collection is one of the main programs that they have at EGI. They have the museum there, they have all kinds of legacy activities there, and it's worth your time to go visit. But with the soil collection, it was set up so that we could remember people that had no headstone, that had no remembrance other than through family or from friends. And so in order to have a remembrance of those individuals who are precious to us, they decided to set up what is known as the soil program. And in this program, 2 jars of soil are collected for an individual who has lost his life. And it could be lynching, it could be shot, killed. There are many ways that we have lost our lives. You could have been hung. You could have gotten drowned and purposely drowned, things like that. And so how can we remember them? We can remember them with the soil. And we would go to the area where that person lost his life and gather soil, dig into the earth, and put that soil into 2 containers. And the container, one container stays in your home area. The second container goes to Montgomery, Alabama, where it is kept. And there are just rows and rows and rows of jars from different places with the person's name, the date that the atrocity took place, and what the atrocity was about. Lynching, whatever the situation may have been, Groveland Four, whatever the situation is on the jar. And folks come and view those jars. And it's a precious thing to see. And what I enjoyed, and you don't enjoy this in a way, let me say enjoy, but I meant it differently. I look at the soil, I see black soil. I see red soil, look like straight out of Georgia. I see white soil right off the beaches of different locations. You can stand there and look at all that different colors. The soil changes according to the area where that soil was picked up. And you can almost pick up the area of the country where that soil came from, not knowing the name or the person as to who put that soil and where it got its name and location. Yes, we must keep in mind that the soil is our roots. It is something that we can always go back to. And today we will have a soil program commemorating who? All right, you're with me. Thank you. And we're going to do research in formalizing curiosity. It is poking and prying with the purpose. Zora Neale Hurston. Keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to the next thing on the program. And the next item on our program is the journey with Representative Geraldine Thompson.
I love to read, and I read a lot of different books. I read articles. I read reports. I do a lot of reading. One of the things that I read most often tells us that there were people who were fleeing bondage, and they were traveling toward freedom. And they came to what appeared to be an impassable barrier. It was a body of water. And they felt that there was no way they were going to escape and get to freedom because of the body of water. But the water opened up, and they were able to travel across on dry land. You all familiar with that story?
Of course.
So you read the book that I read.
Of course.
And one of the things that they were told to do on their journey on dry land across was to pick up stones. And they were told to use the stones when they reached the other side to build a memorial so that they could remember their journey and how they came to freedom and came to the place where they were. And they were told that it's not just for your benefit that you should remember your journey, but generations to come will see the stones. The generations will see the memorial, and they will ask, "What mean ye by these stones?" And you'll be able to tell the story. So it's for our benefit that we are here today, gathering the soil, remembering Samuel Shepherd, remembering Charles Greenlee, remembering Walter Irvin, remembering Ernest Thomas. So we're not to forget. We're not to forget because we have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. The blood of the slaughtered, that's what we're talking about when we talk about these four men. And we want to remember them. We want generations to come to remember them. A black author named James Baldwin said that you cannot fix what you will not face. And for a long time in the state of Florida, we have refused to face what happened here in Lake County. We have refused to face what happened in Brevard County, in Mims with Harry and Harriet T. Moore. We have refused to face what happened in Ocoee on election night in 1920. But today, we have faced the racial injustice that occurred in the state of Florida. And that brings me to my role in this journey. When I was contacted by my colleague, Beverly Robinson, I had read about the Groveland Four. As I said, I do a lot of reading. I read a book called Crusaders in the Court, and there was information about the Groveland Four. And then I read Devil in the Grove, more information about the Groveland Four. And Beverly contacted me to say that she would like me to introduce legislation. And as a state senator, I filed a bill to exonerate the Groveland Four. My bill got no traction, didn't go anywhere, because not a lot of people knew the story. They didn't see the stones. They didn't know about the memorial. So I purchased copies of Devil in the Grove and gave them to my colleagues as gifts so that they could then read the story. And then I introduced the bill again. It went a little bit further. But then I left the legislature in 2016. I ran for Congress. I did not win that particular race. And in 2017, I did some traveling. And one of the places that I went was South Africa. And I visited Robben Island. And I went to the prison where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for over 2 decades. And I stood in front of his cell. I held on to the bars, and I looked in at his cot and at the bucket that he used. And I thought about the lifelong commitment that he made to social justice. And I was standing on the sidelines. So I came back and I ran for office, and I went back to the legislature. And Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Freed and I met with the head of FDLE. We talked about the Groveland Four. We talked about continuing the investigation. I had spoken with Gilbert King, who is here, and who indicated that he would make his files and his research available to FDLE. And so when we talked with FDLE, they said, well, we'll go to New York and we'll examine what's there and we'll issue a report. While I was out of office in 2017, continuing the work, continuing the information, earlier today, Representative Bobby DuBose was with us. He introduced a bill in the House, and Senator Greg Farmer introduced a bill in the Senate, which resulted in an apology that passed unanimously. We in the legislature can't seem to agree on much, but on that particular piece of legislation, it passed unanimously in the House and in the Senate, giving an apology on behalf of the state of Florida for what happened and the racial injustice that occurred with the Groveland Four. So that was 2017. Representative DuBose asked me to come stand with him on the floor when he presented the bill, which I did. And then we continued to work. And in 2019, the very first act of our cabinet was to issue a pardon to the Groveland Four. Do you know that a pardon is something that you give to somebody who's guilty? Mm-hmm. So that was the big difference. We had a pardon, but we needed to clear the records of the Groveland Four. And that is what happened here today. when we were in court, when the judge ruled on the motion by the state attorney, another step in the journey to get us here. And so this is something that I've been committed to for over 7 years. And a reporter asked me, how do you feel today? And my emotions go from being the anguish of knowing that these young men lost their life. We can't fix that. Can't ever fix that. At the same time, I am relieved, I'm happy that we are here today, and I'm hopeful that this is part of a larger reckoning with our history here in the state of Florida. We have too many of these kind of stories that have been swept under the rug. We have history that's been ignored, obscured, forgotten, but you really can't forget what you never knew. And so we have a controversy now in the legislature about discussing race and racism in schools. Just baffling. So we want to whitewash history. So the journey is not over. The journey is not finished. And I am glad that I was allowed to stand in the gap, to stay on the wall, to make sure that we got to this point where the innocence of these men can now be presumed. That's what we all want as Americans. And thank you, Beverly, for continuing to keep me engaged and informed. I'm working on so many different things that sometimes, unless you remind me, I get off course. So Beverly won't let me get off course. But congratulations to the members of the families. This is what my work has been about. And when Dr. DuPree talked about digging, there's an African proverb that says, when an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. And we're losing too much of our history, too many of our stories. We don't know enough about our journey because when the old ones die, the library is gone. So I'm glad to see the Oral History project here today so that we will know these stories. So congratulations to the family. And this soil represents the monuments that haven't been built to the victims of injustice in America. These will be the monuments to those individuals. And I'll be able to take one of the jars. Once the soil is gathered, I'll be able to take it to the Wells-Built Museum of African American History in Orlando. The Wells-Built was a former hotel. And I did have an opportunity to take a picture with Justice Marshall's son when Justice Marshall came to Florida to defend the Groveland Four. There was no hotel that was going to rent him a room in Lake County. And families who were involved with the NAACP had been threatened by the Klan. They would not open their homes. He used the Negro Motorist Green Book, and he found a little hotel 40 miles outside of Groveland called the Wells-Built. And I'm the founder of that museum, and we'll be able to have that marker, have a memorial, have that soil, have that sand at the memorial. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I mean, you gave us a good history real quick. Thank you, thank you. On your programs, it has on here lighting of the candle ceremony. But before we do that, I want to ask if there are any family members who would like to have words. Any of the family members or any of the guests?
I would like to say something.
Yes, please.
My name is Kathy. I'm from Ocala, and I'm an amateur historian and have been following the story for years, especially Devil in the Grove. I've read everything. I've even driven out and seen the spot, I think, where the shooting happened. I don't know if y'all know this, but the attorneys in Ocala, have y'all ever heard of the Inn of the Court? It's a high-end attorneys group. Well, so anyway, they did a play. Yeah. Have y'all heard about that? They did a play on the Groveland Four trial, which was an absolute travesty of justice. In an hour and 20 minutes, the verdict was returned by an all-white jury. Then they knew that there was no evidence. And they were flashing Masonic signals. I'm going to give up your story here in a minute. But anyway, I had a Christian coffee house that I started that is 1 East Silver Springs Boulevard. It's a beautiful building in downtown Ocala. And at one point, after our 10 years were up, it's been mostly vacant. The owner's a friend, and they called me and they said, do you want to do anything with this building? What if we tried to redo that play? It could be so educational. I'm sure I can get that building donated to us. It looks like a courthouse. It's absolutely amazing. It is the cornerstone of the city. It's where it's absolutely the center of the city is. So y'all think about that and pray about that. That's not a pressure thing or anything. But when you said memorial, it's the stories is where the power's at. Mm-hmm. And if any of y'all have read of what's happened in justice, it's when men and women continue to press and tell the stories. Just like with Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. You know, it was Julie of the Miami Herald who pressed in and wrote that story. And that's the reason, you know, well, he's not here anymore, but, you know, it wasn't because he was convicted in West Palm Beach. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to distract from what we're here today about. But I want to thank all of you for fighting for justice and keep telling the story. And maybe that's something. I was always going to talk to Brian. By the way, I've chased Brian down. I've met him. I've been out to Montgomery. I spent the week out there in my motorhome. I'd like to volunteer for him. I'm a private investigator in Florida. But that's what he does if you go through the machine, is he tells the story, and that's where the power is. So don't stop. Tell the story. And that's what needs to happen. And there's already been so many documentaries and books. But what you guys just did is shined a huge light in darkness. In Florida, of all the states per capita, there was more darkness here than anywhere else in the continental United States, bar none. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed so much coming and being a part of this.
Thank you so much. I mean, you just added to what we all have been involved in. And Ocala, there's a possibility.
Yes.
We'll work toward that.
Listen, y'all could come there and spend the next 100 years. Trust me.
I know Ocala. My husband used to work there.
Really?
And then Beverly lived there too. So I've been in and out of Ocala, Marion County. But anyway, any others that would like to have comments?
Don't really get a chance that much to thank everybody that was involved in this from day one. Love you all. This journey has been hard for me. I started out doing our family tree. Just wanting to get it done, wanting to know where, you know, everybody falls in place and everything. And that was back in the early 2000s. And I came across this story. This is how I found out, okay? Very sad, because our dad didn't talk about it. He actually was 13 when it happened, okay? He was little Henry, well, he wasn't really a junior, senior, he was still a Henry Shepherd himself. Our granddaddy was Henry Shepherd, and then his daddy was Henry Shepherd, I think. But what I wanted to say at this point in time, something when we get together through all of this, we never bring up is, now today I can say, yay, Sam, we did it. And in honor of my grandma Charlie, our granddad Henry, Sam had plenty of brothers and sisters, but I can't call all their names right now, but I know Aunt Irene, Aunt Fanny, on behalf of Uncle James, yeah, and also Kathy, which is Aunt Fanny's daughter, Francis. We got all of them that they're around. They just haven't been really that much involved in all of this, but they're going to be so thrilled that this day has come. Okay, we fought for it, and yes, justice was done today. Love you all. Thank you so much.
Sherry, can I do an acknowledgement?
Yes, please.
You all saw the gentleman who came in with the blue shirt on. He just got some plates and left because he had to go back to his grandson. That was Mr. Bugs. And he's the one who went out to the site and got the sand and came back and sifted it to where it is now. So I think he's not here to get that acknowledgement, because that took a lot of time because we have to send the sand back as pure as we can to put it in the jar. And he really took his time and sifted that sand and got it just beautiful for us to be able to put in jar. So we want to make sure we thank him.
And you got a little video of that you could send out to the family. Yeah, that is gorgeous. It make you wonder, how do we get over? I'm telling you. Well, the other thing, on the back of your program, we have the Eustis Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church, Elder Gerald Blue. He was not able to be with us, but when we were here last night, we called him and he said that he had an appointment and he couldn't be here, but he sent his prayers because he knew this was going to be a very important activity, and he wanted us to know that he was thinking of us and that he was so moved by what was being done to carry this further. So for Elder Blue, we say thank you for his concern. And that was last night when Beverly and I were here. Also on the back, you have the Generations Restaurant, Eustis, Florida. Come out so we can see you. She has a restaurant here in town. and give the address so they'll know how to reach you.
Okay, I'm up right up the road here, 113 Kensington Street. That's here in Eustis. Currently, I'm not open right at the moment, but when I do, I will get the information out to you all. I would love to have you. I would love to be able to serve you and everything. So I've been here for 27 years. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And the food was wonderful. We thank you for everything.
I must thank the young lady here for the food.
Oh, so this is the cook right here.
She catered this whole thing.
Yes.
I really want to thank her.
Yes.
This is Sam's
Give it to yes, Sam.
This is Sam's cousin also, but she wanted to cater all the food, and she did a beautiful
Job. We thank you for the food. And come on out. Let's get you here so we can acknowledge your goodness.
My name's Monica Bugs.
Yes, Miss Bugs. Come on. And I heard a little bit of your talk back there with Marta. But anyway, say a few words to us.
I am, as Ms. Robinson said, Dr. Robinson said, I am the sand sifter's wife, longtime resident of Eustis, Florida, and I know Willis McCall real well, being a longtime resident here. And I am honored to be a part of this ceremony and so happy to know that this has finally come to a close, this part of Lake County.
Yes. Still got more to do, but we're getting there. That's the key factor.
There is a lot more to do.
Oh, tell me about it.
Lake County, for sure.
It's everywhere, not just Lake County.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And the next one we had on the list was Virgil Hawkins Civil Rights Foundation. Is there anybody here from that group? All right, Beverly?
We thank you. The foundation provided some of the desserts today and some of the other condiments. But our executive director is Attorney Holly Herman. I'm the secretary of the foundation. But we certainly were happy to be a part of this today.
We're very thankful for that, too. And we have the University of Florida Samuel Proctor Oral History Program. Who would like to stand for that group?
I'll be happy to say something. Thank you.
All right.
I'm Warren Weston, and I'm a teacher in Washington County, but I also work in the summers at the University of Florida teaching English and with the Sam Proctor Oral History Program. My parents were both ministers, and I'm reminded of something my dad told me about how we all love ministry. Everybody that we touch, everybody we speak to at any time can be watching what we're doing. They may not say anything to us, but what we do teaches a lesson. The lesson that was taught here today is respect to the family on continuing the fight to never, ever give up. There's so many people who quit, and quitting is such a hard habit to break once you start. Please continue to tell us your story.
Amen.
To tell us what you're going to tell us, and then to remind us what you told us, because that's the way people will remember. I'll close just by saying thank you again for the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program, and on behalf of our director, Dr. Paul Ortiz. I know he would have wanted to be here today. Our executive administrative assistant, Ms. Tamara Jenkins. All the students, Laura here, who's on her first kind of field trip in any way. She came down to see this and learn the process, and of course my partner. Deborah Hendricks, who does our videography and does such a super job. We've been doing programs together since 2009. This whole thing just reminds me that we also, in being serious, need to also have some humor. I remember when Richard Pryor once said, the great comedian, we go to the courthouse seeking justice, and that's all we find, just us.
Just us.
So the day has been a way to turn that around. I thank you very much. I'm happy.
Thank you so much. I always smile. Yes, go right ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything, but...
Please do.
I was born, all my life, I lived in Groveland. And when this incident went on, I was 5 years old. And my mother and my father then carried me away from there to Laker on Mount T. Ford on the truck. We had to get out of Groveland when this went on. And they tried to tell me then what had happened. But nobody would tell me anything. Everybody would hush. And I often wondered what did happen. The brother of one of these guys, and this my cousin over there, got married in the family. Me and her been married 55 years.
Praise the Lord.
So she knows more about much as I do about Groveland. Because I remember when a black person couldn't even go to the front to get a cup of ice cream. And I remember when Santa Claus had to be up there for the blacks. And this all happened this time. But through it all, God straightened it out. And now the truth is coming out now. And I'm glad I'm living to see it, you know, that it's being straightened. There's a lot more Grovelands. It's not only here, but it's a bunch of Groveland. But I'm glad this family to get some of their cases closed, because it's been going on a long time. And this family here in Beverly, she's just like a sister to me. I married into it, and this is one of the best families I married into. And that's my live stream right there. We've been married 55 years. But thank God we're still here. I have a father by me.
But thank you. We appreciate that. I like hearing stories like that. It brings us home and lets us to understand who we are and where we've come from. Because we've come from a mighty long ways. But we're moving forward. Displays for Schools out of Gainesville is a business that we've had since 1975. And we have educational materials for schools, and we do books and materials for schools. And all school materials are tested before they go out. And so we're small, we're black, and we're going to keep moving forward. So that's something that we have. That's my husband and I. State Representative Geraldine Thompson, we want to thank you. Do you have other words that you'd like to say to us?
Just that the journey is a marathon and not a sprint.
Amen. You spoke the truth. Black History Tours is a group out of Miami, and I've worked with them for a long time. I work with the Rosewood Heritage Foundation, and I told Beverly I forgot to put that on here. But in any case, we tour throughout the country. But mainly with Black History Tours, I work with them to set up the tours to go to Rosewood. So if anybody's interested, just let us know. We take school groups, church groups, and you know the groups that we really love are the senior citizens. Because they enjoy and they can relate to so much of what you are showing and talking to them about. Question-wise, you can't get through answering the questions. I mean, those that were back there half asleep on the bus will wake up. Wait a minute, did you go past that? No, let's talk about this. And so I appreciate the Black History Tours. They're out of Miami. The last one is DuPree Pentecostal Center. Most of you know very little about that, but the center was started about 30 years ago. And the purpose has been to serve as a clearinghouse for information on the black church, with the emphasis on the Holiness Pentecostal Church. I had been here many years ago, and I realized that I knew Elder Rollins. Yes, I knew him personally, so I've been around the state. I've been not only in the state, we have collections scattered throughout the country. I will tell you quickly, we have one in California, we have one in Wisconsin, we have 2 in Washington, D.C., and the collections are of African-American materials that you can't find anywhere else. We want your programs, your Sunday bulletins, and one of the largest collections that we have right now are obituaries, because people don't realize the history that's in an obituary. And a lot of times our people have never been listed in sources where we can find us. So if we get that obituary, then we can go into the census and we can go to other sources and we can find a little bit of history about you. So that's something else that we are involved in. All right, the contributors are the Equal Justice Initiative out of Montgomery, Alabama, UNESCO Transatlantic Slave Trade, Florida, Georgia Chapter Incorporated, and this is what Beverly and I, and also we have Geraldine Thompson, Senator Thompson, we're on that group. The Robinson House Foundation. Beverly, you want to mention that?
Based in Dallas, Texas. My son and I, that's our family foundation, do only educational types of scholarships. We raise our funds through a 5K run for historically black colleges from all over the country. Sends a representative to be in that run every March. Normally have about 200 to 500 runners in that March. It's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
INCRhouse.com is the website. If you want to go in there, you'll see some pictures of the marathon that we do every year, raise quite a bit of money. But we recently, it's in your program, also partnered with the Educational Foundation of Lake County.
Yes.
We can put a scholarship here for a student who may be interested in going into the field of law. Now, the reason we did that is because Lake County has never been able to maintain or retain a black lawyer to this day. Every time a black lawyer comes into Lake County, they are harassed and cannot practice in this county. And so that is why we specifically did the field of law, and preferably an African-American student who was studying law. And hopefully they want to come back to this county and practice.
Well, we got to help them to feel comfortable to come back here. We got to work to help them, and that can be done. And also, we have put these into your programs. If you have a chance to look at that or to contribute to help out, that will be very necessary. Thank you so much for sharing that. Regina Sapp.
Sapp is the local florist who gave us the hard floor piece out here. We are going to go out to the site. We'll just trail each other out to the site, and we're going to leave it there. I didn't want to put it there before because you know it probably would have been there when we got back. So if we leave it when we go down, if they move it down, that's fine. But she heard we were having this, and she said, I want to make something to be back there tomorrow. So we will post that out to the site.
We'll send that out.
Karen Regina Sapp is a first cousin of mine.
Oh.
And I'd just like to say a few words because I called her the night before and she says, yes, I'll get that to you. What time do you need it?
Crazy.
That's the kind of person she is. She is very, very pro-black issues, help out where she can. And she's on a scooter, has had very serious health issues, and she continues to be proactive in the cause. She's very active in the Lake County Democratic Association, too. She tacks up signs.
I hear you. She's serious about what she's doing.
About that. And if you ever check her Facebook site, she will keep you posted on everything going on here in Lake County.
Well, we know where to go get our plants and flowers. And the cross is very beautiful. It's outside there. You want to bring it in so people can see it? And then we're getting ready to go out. All right, because now it's time to light the candles, the ceremony. So we're to line up according to nieces, nephews, first cousins, and other relatives. Unless there's other comments. Am I omitting anyone? I don't want to.
I want to ask real quick, y'all know the exact site where this happened?
Yes, I do.
You do know the exact site? Okay. Because I've been out trying to find it.
Okay, good. Yeah, we know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
All right, we need the nieces first. All the nieces. Favorite gospel singer. And it is said, we've been told that on the night that Sam was killed, and I didn't want to say, that it was Edna Gallmon Cooke's music that she played all night long. Because as you know, back then, the bodies weren't taken to the funeral home. The bodies went to rest in your home, in the front room or front porch. Miss Mattie, was it on the front porch or in the back? Do you remember? Okay. So, this is the light the candles in memory of his parents. My Aunt Charlie Shepherd, who you heard me talk about this today, gracious lady. I thought she was so pretty. So as a child, I was mesmerized by her beauty more than anything. She was beautiful. And of course, our uncle, Ernest Shepherd. We know that they were prosperous people, proud back in their day. So we felt it very befitting to do the candlelight service in their honor today, and to play who we knew was her favorite gospel singer back then. Now, Cousin Mattie said that she know the exact song she played all day long. What was it? Which was it? This one, Cousin Mattie? The second one. She keeps telling us she heard it on this particular, but we have been researching Edna Gallmon Cooke since we started planning and trying to figure out the songs that she played all night long while she wept over his body in her home. So it was a very touching moment when that occurred. And as we finish this, we're going to march out with the candles, but then we're going to line back up again in the same order. And at that time, the rest of you can fall in behind us, and we will start putting the soil in the jar. Okay? Wait here. Vivian, just go straight out. Switch. You're fine. Yeah, you can go one, and you can do that. Mm-hmm.
Got a whole scoop of yeah, we got to fill these jars up.
Just don't worry about messing up with this.
Sorry. Did you make one?
Just two scoops is good. Yeah. If it don't fill up, we'll come back around again. Yeah, that. No, just gonna do one. Two scoops, if you want to.
Do better on second.
That should not be in my hands.
Appreciate you making.
Get closer.
I tried to glad he said he wants to put a sneak in too, so he and I gotta arrange the beat some kind of way this evening.
Oh, this one as well. Okay.
Jars must be filled, so what we do when they're not filled, we just start over again. So have you done yours?
I have not.
You have to keep going into the fill.
Yeah, you know, just pick me. If it's not filled, then we'll start over again, okay?
Okay.
Oh, are you talking about in Eustis? Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, the nieces come to it.
Are you okay? You're fine.
Get it, Vivian, get it. Cause they're playing with that jaw over there. Yeah, it's supposed to be all the way to the top.
We will. Yeah, we'll get it. Just keep going till it has to be filled.
That's why my back hit me. Bad.
Why do you say that? Oh, God. Oh, my God. Then comes across you. That's we all say the same. I was going to say,
This is Kelsey.
We started on Mississippi Delta. The stories in Florida. Heard the story of Palm Beach. Flag look at it. All the people that live on Palm Beach should come off. Probably had some kind of a fair or something. And, picnic, whatever, and everybody kept trying to come back. Shot everybody and tried to come across the water. There's a book called Like a Mighty Bandit. You can find it through Palm Beach State College. It should be in their library. When Melvin Haynes was the vice president, he did a study with a guy named C. Spencer Pompey, who was leader of education in South Florida. He started telling all these stories. So Like a Mighty Bandit tells the story of South Florida. Probably mid-80s. Between 85 and 90.
I never heard that, and I thought, I'm sure you hear it. I didn't think you heard all that.
Oh, yes. It's not just Rosewood. It's not just Ocoee. It's not just Lake Worth or West Palm Beach. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
1920, there was a serious attempt to disenfranchise all black people in the state of Florida. So that's kind of a central point. If you just follow the breadcrumbs of 1920, you can find anything.
Well, they need a lot of Confederate monarch.
Well, yeah, everywhere. We just removed them in Gainesville, they're everywhere. That wasn't considered like a bad thing.
No.
It was considered a good thing. But if you go black, say you couldn't have been elected a judge, the Supreme Court could have been you could have been a dog catcher in Alabama. In the 20s, they were marching down Washington, D.C. streets. Did you ever meet Stetson Kennedy when he was alive? Yeah, so you know. Yeah, you know Stetson.
I just saw her widow.
Oh, yeah, she's around all the time.
Are you talking about Sandra?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know her too?
Yeah.
Everybody knows Sandra.
Yeah.
Take the second right onto East McDonald Avenue.
Yeah.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Florida 19.
All right, now you see that little alley right there? That's where he drove them down into. Right here, at the end, going down, going down.
See right there to the left?
Yeah, I see it.
That's where he drove down in and killed them, but he drove back up in there about 200 feet.
That's right here.
Right there. That's the actual place where he went in.
Wow. What's that?
Returning on Wilson Parish.
Yeah, and just park anywhere on that this right or that left. We got the sand from right over there. That's what we do at the sand. Right in this area right here. Right in that area.
It's going to be a nice day, though.
It is quite a nice day after a little bit of a...
Oh, I'm sorry, I lost it.
Do you see the trees? This one's like totally...
The tree line is just completely different now. But you can see the big turn in the road and the gully. And I'm almost positive this is
So we got 200 feet from it, we can get here on
Oh,
yeah, get out the road.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's like 6 feet off the road.
Here, Lord, yeah. Much.
Maybe somebody's property we own. You know. I don't know.
I can talk to him.
We might need to use our white friends.
Yeah.
Get out the road.
Yeah.
Well, we're ready to go anyway. Y'all ready? Yeah. All right. We went through this when we went to Green.
Yeah, we need to get some.
I'll get a picture of you on the
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, that'd be good.
Everybody behind it, don't you think?
Okay, you all.
Yeah, let's get. Oh, I'm watching.
I would love to do yours.
Why don't we? Yeah, anyone that wants to stand in the sticker there. It's a great one, Laura. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. All of y'all get in it. Get behind the cross. We'll
Yeah,
take a picture with you guys.
Yeah,
This
let's
is
do that.
history.
It is.
You guys might not be back here again for a minute.
That is true.
Can y'all, can you step behind it a little bit so we can see the cross? Be careful behind her. Step up here. Yeah, but you shorter. Come on, you got me. Come up here. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Come on up here. Everybody smile.
Yeah.
Looking good. Okay, hang on. I gotta switch cameras. Beautiful. Okay, sure. And if anybody else wants to hand us a camera, we gotta take it.
So we can get off this curve.
Listen, we're being
Careful.
bright.
Yeah, we got to step
Hang in
back.
there. Put your face out there. Okay. Whose camera is this one?
Share, you can share with us. All right.
They look alike.
All right, everybody. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys.